I'm one of them, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. And today I'll be taking through a Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consulting course, which is known as PL200. Um, so quickly, I will probably give you a quick brief rundown of who I am. I have worked in the Microsoft Dynamics space for quite some time now. I started off as a developer, and I've worked in various capacities within the Microsoft Dynamics arena. I've worked, on the service desk. I've worked testing applications. I've worked developing applications. I've currently I'm working as a solution architect for one of the gold partners in London. And I've also worked maybe as a functional consultant and also worked as a solution designer, which is more or less one and the same thing. So a quick rundown of what we will be going through today. So for this course, or this module rather, we're doing an introduction into Microsoft Power Platform. And the things that we're going to quickly run through will be Power Apps, Microsoft Dataverse, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, Power BI, AI Builder connectors, and we'll do a lab session, which is a hands-on experience. But I don't think we'll be able to do a lab session today, because I would want each and every one of us on this call to participate. So we'll probably do the lab session tomorrow. Today, we'll probably just go through a quick rundown of what Microsoft Power Platform is in general. So we'll concentrate more on the theoretical side of things. And then I'll try and spin up an environment and get some credentials, a couple of credentials, which I will distribute to those that will participate tomorrow. And then tomorrow we can go through a lab. So we can actually do a proper hands-on exercise of what the course is all about. First things first, I think you have to excuse me a little bit because my voice is a little bit groggy. I'm still a little bit under the weather. So I might say things that you might not hear properly. If so, feel free to interject or raise your hand so that at least we can make sure that we're all moving at the same pace. So bear with me 1 second. Just a quick random question. Has anyone on this course ever worked on Microsoft Power Platform or Microsoft Dynamics? Just out of interest. It sounds like this is a completely new technology to all of us here. Let's see, someone else put it. Yeah. Tamaria says no. Okay. Not a problem. Since we are going through the introduction, then we should all be fine because I'll take you through the basics of what Microsoft Power Platform is, and hopefully we'll all be at par. At the end of the day. Right. So there's a couple of modules that we are going to go through. And I think today we're mostly going to do module 1. In the next session, which is module 2, we'll look at working with tables, understanding what data types there are within the system, and what's the behavior that these data types perform. And we'll try and configure security settings as well. So through security settings, there's quite a lot of things that we can configure there. We can configure individual security roles. We can configure business units, and so on and so forth. And then module 3, we'll try and build a model-driven app using Power Apps. So we'll try and design a model-driven app, and we'll also use forms and views. And in the lab sessions, we'll try and modify those using the app designer. And module 5, we'll try and look at the architecture of how Power Portal apps, how Power Apps portals, how the architecture is like for Power Portal apps, and how you can access Microsoft database using the portal, how you authenticate, and how you manage users. And then module 3 will do an introduction to automation. This is where we're looking at automating things within an environment. Say, for instance, you've got a system in your organization where you've got certain functions or certain procedures that are repeatedly done during the course of the day. I think it will be ideal to try and automate those kind of functions so that no human being will continuously be repeating certain things every hour or every day or every other day. So there are certain things that we can automate. So that's one thing we'll try and look at. And then we'll also look at building Power Automates using cloud flows. So we'll be looking at what are the fundamentals of cloud flows, what are they, what triggers them, how are they triggered, what actions are used within Power Flow. And then module 8 will try and build a desktop flow. So this is pretty much the same as module 7, but the only difference is module 7 will be doing it in the cloud, and module 8 will be doing it on the desktop. And then module 9 We'll be looking at business flows, process flows, how, why are they used, where are they used, how do you build them using Flow Designer, how do we automate things using business process flows, and so on and so forth. And then module 10 will probably look at chatbots. We'll create one using Power Virtual Agents, and we'll try and configure them, automate, and integrate those in our in our solution. And then module 11 we'll be analyzing data using Power BI. So we'll need to create a Power BI, connect a database to Power BI, and then start playing around with the data that we'll have within the system using Power BI. And then module 12, that's where we put everything together. So we'll be using those solutions that we've built, integrate those with the AI Builder, and then we'll look at consultant skills. What are the skills that are needed? And then for the functional consultant role, what is it that is needed? So this course, to be quite honest with you, we are looking at the functional consultant role. Has anyone heard of the functional consultant role or Microsoft Dynamics functional consultant role? Okay, I think just to sort of like bring everything into perspective, we might do a bit of a reverse there. So we might actually start by looking at functional consultant role, see what is it that's needed to perform this job, and maybe what sort of jobs are out there. Probably what you can do later on, you can check on Google and see what, and drill down a little bit more to see exactly what it is that is required of a functional consultant. But however, I'm going to try and share one job here. Can you see the D365 functional consultant job that I posted on in the chat in the window?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I think probably I've just decided maybe it'll be worth it just to try and figure out what is a functional consultant, what are the skills that a functional consultant needs to have, and what's the job market like for functional consultants. I just need to get one with a bit more. So as you can notice there, we've got one here. This is a full job description of functional consultant and what they do. So a functional consultant is more like a hybrid role. So this is someone who works on the technical side of things. They do, a bit of configuration. They do a bit of customization. The other half of the job is more of business analysis. So you go out, you analyze data or systems, and then you gather, requirements from your users. Once you've got that, you can do things like fit gap. So try and align the requirements or what the organization requirements are to Dynamics 365. And once you do that, you can then start building the system. So this, when you do the build, this is when you go in now and you're doing the customization and configuration of the system. So at a very high level, as I've just said, there's things like gathering requirements. You need to do implementation of the solution or whatever it is that the organization is trying to have. You need to be an effective communicator, and majority of the times you work in cross-functional teams, and you work with diverse clients or diverse stakeholders. So diverse stakeholders could be people from the organization that you're working within, and this could be product owners, this could be users or potential users of the system, if there is one already. So these are users of the current system. And you've got other people on the technical side of things as well that you interact with. These are your solution architects, these are your testers, these are your developers, and project managers, and so on and so forth. And one of the key things is you need to be highly organized. This, I cannot stress it much, but you need to be very organized, because you're going in to put in a system that is potentially going to be used by big organizations. So take, for instance, you might be working for $1 billion business, and they will be relying on you to put in a solution that will elevate their processes, elevate how the business functions, and so on and so forth. So those are things that you need to be organized when you start your project. And then there's obviously things like adhering to deadlines, and you need to be one person who is always continuously improving yourself, because the product itself, it's continuously evolving. There's new enhancements every so often. So you need to be at the top of your game just to make sure you keep up. I think those are the quite key things that one needs when it comes to that role. So as you can see, you need to be someone who analyzes business analysis. This is when it comes in, designing and customizing, and you do quite a lot of write-ups as well. You do installations, you do migrations, you do data imports, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a lot of key things that you need to be able to perform this role successfully.
How would one get experience to apply to such role, please?
Sorry, you had a bit of feedback. Can you ask your question again?
So how would one sort of get experience? Because you can see there, it says, oh, you need to have some sort of years of experience. I mean, like, all starting up, like, how would someone get such experience to apply to such role?
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, there is different levels of functional consultants. So you've got, if you've got your certification, You can go in and be a functional consultant, but you'll be a junior functional consultant. So with time, when you get a bit more experience in your role, you can then be elevated, to be a senior, and then you carry on like that.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else with another question before we proceed? Okay. Right. So with functional consultants, as I said earlier on, what you do on a day-to-day basis is you do discovery. You are a subject matter expert on the product, in short, which are known as SMEs. And you capture requirements, you map those requirements to features. So say, for instance, you've got an organization that I'll probably use a university or a school, because I know everyone on this has gone to some sort of school at some point, in life. So I'll probably use a scenario of a university. So you could have a university that deals with its students, and every so often the students would maybe write into the university, with some queries. I could be a student at University X, and University X, I could be writing into the university to say, I need to find out, what my balance is on the student loan. Maybe I need to pay off that loan, or I could be struggling with my studies and I want, to take a break, or I could have issues with my lectures. So things like that, you write into the university, but the university need to be in a position where they capture what it is that you require and aggregate it in one place. So in Dynamics 365, I'll probably use the customer engagement module. So you've got what is known as case management. So if you're writing an email into the university, what automatically happens is that email is converted into a case. A case basically is a container that will hold all the communication that's going to happen between yourself and the university. So from that point onwards, if someone from the university then replies to my emails and we go back and forth with the university, all the communication is held within the case. So in the event that you are working for a university and the university is trying to put in something where they can manage communications with students, this is where you come in and you are looking at what does the university do on a day-to-day basis. What gaps are there in the current processes? It could be a situation where they're just using Outlook. But at the end of the day, if that student then writes into the university using a different email, that could be, a little bit problematic. So this is where you look at all the requirements. You then map those requirements to the Dynamics 365 case management features, and then you try and build a solution from there on. And with your solution, you then need to make sure that, you give good customer user experience. Also, for those that are working within the organization, they need to be comfortable using that sort of solution so that their lives can be easier as well. And they don't have to look at, thousands and thousands of emails, of the same students. And then what do functional consultants do as well? Functional consultants, they are there to design and provide solutions in collaboration with solution architects, and the standards or the branding established by user experience designers. So when a solution is being built initially, you've got solution architects that would look at what sort of solution can be built for a particular organization, and is it viable, to build that kind of a solution for that particular organization. In the event that maybe the organization grows, can that solution be extended so that it can cater from initially 500 students to maybe you're potentially looking at maybe 2,000 students or 3,000 students. So this is where solution architects come in. And also you've got UI designers. So these user experience designers, they look at what it is that users particularly look at, what's the best way to lay information, in a screen, and making sure that, everything is done in a way to enhance the user experience when they're using that particular application. And then there are also other things to consider, like integration. So you could have a Microsoft Dynamics solution which holds student information. But as a university, they've got different other applications that they have in place. So this could be finance applications where they hold finance records for the students. This could be websites where students go in and register for, say, courses, extra courses that they want to do, or they can register for events that the university could be doing. Or you could even have, web stores where students can go in and buy maybe some sort of resource online. But whatever they purchase or whatever transactions that they do, you need to be able to pull that information into D365. Because a lot of organizations, what they tend to do is they try and make D365 maybe a single source of truth. So I could be a student, and the users within my organization, they do not want to be hopping from one application to the next. So at times what they simply need to do is just to go onto my record. They can easily see what's the balance on my fees, maybe what's the balance on my student loans, and what courses, extra courses have I bought, what events have I attended, or what events will I be attending in the next couple of weeks or months, and so on and so forth. If I've had any issues, what has been the conversation that I've had with the organization? Has my issues been resolved, successfully, yes or no. So there is that element of trying to integrate D365 with other systems. So functional consultants will come in and look at how can that be done? What's the best way of integrating, those systems? And also they'll be looking at, when it comes to integration, there's so many variables which will be at play. And you'll be looking at, for instance, are we looking at integrating maybe Dynamics 365 with an external system, and the integration, are we only receiving information from that external system, or we are doing both? So we are receiving information from that system and we're also passing back information to that system. So that could be two-way integration. You look at security protocols, how to make sure that, the integration, whatever happens between the two systems, data can flow easily and securely. What methods are you going to be passing that information as? So you could be looking at pushing that data in different formats. What format are you going to be passing or receiving that information, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a lot of things which will be at play at that particular point in time. So the designing of the solution is done at the beginning. So after the requirements have been gathered, the designing process kicks in. So there's quite a lot of things that come in at design stage. And once the designs have been approved, they can then be put through the development cycle. And the developers will then come in, they will do their coding and so on and so forth. And once the coding has been done, everything is then put into a testing cycle. From the testing cycle, things are then pushed into the system. Well, that's if the tests are positive. If the tests are not positive, then automatically everything has to go back to be redone. And once everything has been redone, it's then pushed back to testing again. And then from testing, things go back, then actually are promoted into the final solution. And what are the things that a functional consultant should be familiar with? So there is quite a lot of things that a functional consultant should be familiar with when they're using the Power Platform, because there are quite a lot of components that are there in the Microsoft Dynamics arena that will enable the extending, the customization of the apps. And you've got things, as well, such as Teams, things as Dynamics 365, Excel, and Word. And Teams, I'm sure a lot of people have used Teams or have heard about Teams. Teams is more or less the same as Zoom, which we're using, but Teams is actually a Microsoft product. And the beauty of Teams is it can actually be integrated into Dynamics 365. Right. Is Is there anyone with any questions? Let's just do a quick back and forth here. So at least we understand each other and find out if we've got, the general gist of where we are going as potential, functional consultants. Any random questions? Just ask any random questions, because what you think might be minor, it could be something important to the next person. So let's make this as interactive as we can.
Hi, good evening. Sorry, my name is Roland. Just a quick one. It's Dynamics 365, the name for Navision. There's been one called Navision many years ago.
Oh, yes. So what it is, Navision is one of the flavors of Microsoft Dynamics. So there is quite a few that are out there. So you've got Navision now, which is Business Central. And that's more on the finance side of things. You've got customer engagement, which is more on the case management side of things. You've got GP.
Where I've used it before is probably GP actually. Boots, I think Boots used to. I'm not sure they're still using it. They used to have it at Boots Pharmaceutical. Yeah.
Oh, so you've used GP before, right?
No, yeah, I've kind of supported Navision before on at Boots. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So, and that is more on the finance side of things, correct?
No, it's more to do with patient management. I think that's what we use. It could have been for financial. I can't remember. It's been a long time ago.
Yeah, I think that is more on.
Yeah, I remember the financial. I think that's what they use for their tills, if I can remember.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's what they use for their tills. Yeah.
That would be used, for things like tills.
Yeah.
When they are, capturing or processing financial data. And obviously there's an element of at times of capturing, the customer records as well. But in essence, what it does is more on the financial side of things.
That's correct. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So what they've done now is Microsoft have put everything into Microsoft Dynamics 365. And then within 365, that's where you've got, various flavors of the actual product. Like you're saying, GPs, which is part of Business Central. You've got marketing, you've got service, you've got finance, you've got commerce, and you've got supply chain as well.
That's correct.
So there is quite, a wide array of solutions within the Microsoft Dynamics 365 family that can be used, to cater for so many and different business scenarios and business activities at the same time. Anyone else with any questions?
Yeah, hi.
Hi there.
From the last sentence that you mentioned, that you just stated, you said something along, it can be used for every business activities. So would you say it's an EPR then?
Sorry, I missed.
Would you say it's an ERP? Is it ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning, something like that?
Or ERP?
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, it's got flavors as well that cover, the ARP side of things as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cheers.
So as I was saying, you've got modules that cover sales. So how you capture your leads, how you qualify, your leads until, they become, customers and so on and so forth. And you've got marketing modules, which are used for purely market purposes. And obviously, you are looking at, the customer relationship side of things. And then you've got the service modules, uh, which provide, personalized service experiences and employee effectiveness as well. And they try and optimize service operations, with the service offering. And when it comes to things, like finance, this is where you are capturing, all the financial data, and you try and look at driving, better performance, with things like automation and so on and so forth. And then on the commerce side of things, this could be looking at, things like shopping experiences, how they can make that, you can integrate things like, AI. So it starts to learn, certain behaviors, and then it gives you, insights into how things are, so that as an organization, you can quickly, adapt, and you can be, a little bit more agile. And these were things like, supply chain. This could be looking at, things like, asset performance, and could be used in manufacturing operations, and, or it could be used in e-commerce or digital commerce scenarios as well. So there's quite a lot within the Microsoft Dynamics 365 space. So as a functional consultant, you could be working in any of these scenarios. But the beauty is, um, all the data is captured in a database. So database is where all the data will be residing. And that data can be queried or manipulated through, Power BI and so on and so forth. So those are some of the areas, or some of the instances where you can use products that are within the Dynamics 365 space. Anyone else with any other question or a comment? Feel free. Let's make this interactive, and let's make, whatever we discuss here will benefit someone, definitely. Maybe on this course, or probably someone who tap into the recording in the future. So in terms of our audience, do we have people that work in the tech space? You can raise your hand or type in whatever is easier for you. Okay. Because what I was trying to do was I was trying to do a little exercise of trying to figure out what our students are doing at the present moment. And obviously, I can see someone has worked, Nkechi has worked with Power BI. So we'll probably keep you in mind when we get to Power BI. We might use your expertise. You never know.
Hi, Dan.
Hi there.
So I wanted to ask a question, but didn't want to be ahead of myself.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I am wondering, beside the functional consultant role, I'm wondering how, say, for example, a QA or a software analyst, make use of the Dynamic 365.
Okay.
In a place of work, if I may put it that way.
Right. So actually what one can do, or what you can do, is you could be a QA, but QAing D365 products. So you could be working in dev team of people that are implementing the product. So go back to our scenario again. So we could be working in a team. You are working as a QA for the product. I could be working as a developer on the product. So we go in, the business analysts go in, and functional consultants, they go in, they gather the requirements, they analyze the requirements. Requirements are then, passed on to say, okay, this is what we need. So we then go on into our backlog. So the developers will pick up the backlog items. We'll create, say, a function app or a model-driven, not a function app. We'll go and create a model-driven app. And from that model-driven app, once the developers are done with creating the model-driven app, on the requirements, it will say, we want a model-driven app that does A, B, C, D when the users are using it. And we also want it to perform 1, 2, 3 things. So once the developers develop that particular app, they will say, okay, we've completed what was required. Is then passed on to you as a QA person. As a QA, you then go through that app now, and you're looking at how it's functioning, how it's performing against the requirements that were initially set down. So if it passes through all the stages successfully, and all the requirements you feel have been achieved, it's a tick, 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 and we say, okay, nah, it's fine. It's then put into or it's promoted into the live environment. If it does not meet the set requirements, you would say, okay, there's 5 requirements that were needed for this particular app, but it's only managing to do 4 things. So because it's not meeting the 5th, requirement, it's failed. It's then pushed back to the development team. Development team will go and rework on that particular thing, push it back to you again. You do the testing again. Once you are satisfied that the requirements have been met, this is when you take it off and you say, okay, it's done. And it goes on to, it's promoted to the live environment. So you could actually work in as a QA on the particular product itself. I hope I've answered your questions, your question there.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else with any other question?
Hi, I've got a question. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, sure, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So I wanted to ask, because I'm a Scrum Master, and I was going to ask, how are we going to be able to apply this skill within a workplace?
Okay. So if you are a Scrum Master, what I would probably say is you could probably be working. What sort of arena are you working in the present moment?
I'm working within mostly integration interfaces.
Yeah.
Backend, a lot of testing work. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So what could happen is as you are doing your Scrum Master work.
My reporting, I do mostly reporting.
You do reporting as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you could actually go into an organization that will start to adopt, or that already has D365, but they are looking at extending their capabilities. So if you know what the product does, it makes your life a lot easy. Because as you are working, on the project, you can understand, pretty much all the discussions that will be happening pertaining that particular project, because you know what the product does, you know what the product or potentially is supposed to do. Vis-a-vis, if you are a Scrum Master, you go on there and you've got zero knowledge of what the product does. Your job will be limited now to other people providing you direction of what could or should be happening on that particular project.
Okay, so another question I was going to ask as well, because well, I've been kind of told I might be moving to risk and risk management. And I do see some of the tables that you're using, they do use a lot of is it PI Power for
Power BI?
Yeah, the Power PI for some of their analysis. Are you going to touch on that as well?
Yeah, we will touch on Power BI as well.
Okay.
Because yeah, I think when you initially asked your question, you did point out that you work in reporting. So I was actually wanting to say, in your reporting journey, you will probably bump into Power BI, because Power BI now is one of the big, reporting tools out there. So chances are you probably bump into it. So if you go in there and you know what the product does, it makes your life a lot easy.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Going in there and you are a Scrum Master, then your job will only be, to sort of like manage people and, manage time and stuff like that. But how the product or influencing the direction of where things are, you hardly be able to do that if you don't know what the product is capable of doing.
Okay. All right.
I done.
Hi there. Hi there.
Yeah. So if I may just add to what you said, so for those guys that are Scrum Masters or BA, so you take Dynamics as an application, which it is. So it's also a powerful framework or tool, I don't know, that you can use to develop any website or functional app, right? So you have developers that will come together, or so to say, functional consultants, and you have QAs as well, and you have BA in the team, and as well the Scrum Master in the team. And like Dan said, you might be in a team that's extending their Dynamics, or they are actually migrating to use Dynamics. So depending on the team, so the BA in the team will be writing the requirements, and the keywords in the team will be now validating the requirement against what the functional consultants or developers have developed. And then the Scrum Master would do what they do best, actually facilitating all the meeting. That is if they're working Agile. So then also ensuring that, yeah, things are done properly. So that's how it's done. There are lots of organizations that are using Dynamics, and most people are also migrating to Dynamics right now, because Microsoft has been pushing it a lot, and it's kind of easy to migrate. So yes, so you would see a lot of projects with Dynamics these days anyway.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Deji.
So, and we have a team dedicated to Dynamics. Yeah. Hello?
No, I said thank you, Deji, for the additional.
Yeah. Yeah. I would share the same sentiment as Deji. There is quite a lot of activity going on within the Microsoft Dynamics space. So imagine, for instance, you come in and you are a BA or you're a Scrum Master. And I also come in, I'm a BA or I'm a Scrum Master as well. We've got, the same qualification, but I have got an extra qualification in Dynamics 365. And we are meant to be going on a Dynamics 365, or we are fighting for a Dynamics 365 position. Who has a better chance of, getting that job? Is definitely someone with, a bit more insight into the product itself, because not only are you coming with your Scrum Master skills, you've got, that extra dimension of knowing what the product capabilities are. And you'll be able, or you'll be seen as someone, who can contribute effectively, to that project. Hence the need to have, extra qualifications as well. And to be quite honest with you, the functional consulting role is not a too technical role to say that select people can only do it. If you just put your mind to it, it's something that you can do. Like I said, it's more of a hybrid role. It's part technical and part BA and analysis type of work.
So, and to be honest, that's why we need doing the next internship. If you work together, we can structure this into an internship. Maybe, please, because there are a lot of people that could benefit from this training and in the internship. I know it's very intense, so we get a team together, functional consultants as an intern, we get the keywords, we get the BAs, and also the Scrum Master within the team, so that everyone can see how this is done in a workplace. I've worked in different projects with Dynamics, actually, so we can see how this works in a real environment, because that's what this particular platform is done for, making it real, right? So that we can see it how it's worked, actually. So if you please, I want to ask if you could please, let's turn this project into like a 3-month project that people will get to work directly with the Microsoft Dynamics themselves and test it, develop it, and also do BA on different stories, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I am happy with that. So what we can do is we'll take it outside and maybe try and, probably put a proper plan in place so that we know we're working towards, a certain goal. And we know we've got a plan that we carry on from beginning till the end.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, any other question from anyone else? So Mike says, how is it different or similar D365 from general project or system development or management like Prince2 and etc. So D365 actually is more of a platform that can be used, for various things, as I explained earlier on. But unlike Prince2 is more like a project management type of thing. Whereas D365, it gives you, or it gives organizations the ability, to put in place things that can help or enhance what the business does in terms of capturing information through, the sales modules or marketing, where you do surveys and you send, emails, and or service management, where you do case management, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a lot of things that can be done or achieved through D365. Sharon says, is there any coding aspect of things, and what languages are used? We can go deep into coding, but I think probably coding would be more on the development side of things. But what we can do is we will do some technical stuff that requires, maybe a few or a fair amount of coding. If you are talking languages, the D365 is built on the .NET. So you're pretty much looking at C# and yeah, the .NET, and I'll probably say a bit of ASP.NET. You can incorporate things like HTML5s as well, because you can build HTML5s, 5 pages within D365. So those are some of the components that can be, injected into the solution. And you can also look at coding aspect via JavaScript. So there's a lot of JavaScript that is used by the pages. So it's one aspect that we can probably look at as well. So we will see, as Deji said, what we'll probably need to do is just to build out that plan, so that once we figure out our audience and what they do, we can then put them into certain teams. This could be, the developers, the functional consultants, the Scrum Masters, and so on and so forth. But for each and every team, we'll then need to give them, specialist skills. For instance, the developers, they will need specialist dev coding skills, which we can probably do for the dev team in different sessions. So at least so that at the end of the day, the whole or the bigger team would have all the particular roles in place, and everyone will be able to execute in a way that will make the whole project, a success. Anyone else with any other question or comments?
Hi, Dan. So out of curiosity, Deji did mention that the both of you will try to put heads together to, kind of create a project that will be run on the Dynamic 365. So out of curiosity, I want to know if the capabilities of the Azure DevOps, is built in the Dynamics 365. That can you get all those capabilities that you get from Azure DevOps?
We can build in, some DevOps capabilities in there. So one of the things that we can try and include as well is on the Azure or DevOps side of things is things like continuous integration. So we can do continuous deployment or continuous integration from the DevOps side of things. So continuous integration, where it will come in, this is now more on the developer side of things. So as you might not be aware, most organizations, when they're implementing D365 projects, usually they have 3 environments or 4 environments, depending on the scenario. But the standard will be a minimum of 3 environments, which is your dev environment, your test environment, your UAT, and you've got your live environment. So with DevOps, where it will come in, the developers would work on a solution within the development environment, and developers would only be able to get into the development environment. So once the developer go in and do their dev work on a solution, once that solution is ready for deployment, after it's been tested, obviously. So they develop it, it goes through the testing cycle. Once it's been tested and it's ready, to be promoted to the next environment, this is where DevOps come in. And with DevOps, we would not need to physically move the solution from one environment to the next. What DevOps would do, DevOps would automatically pick up that solution and place it in the next environment. So you could set up something in DevOps where you say, we want promotion of solutions to be done maybe on a daily basis, but that's too ambitious, because obviously development takes quite a bit of time. So you could probably say we want to promote solutions every 2 days. So it does that automatically. Or you can promote solutions as and when you're ready. But at that point, you're not doing the physical, pulling out of a solution, you get it to the next environment, you pull it into the next environment, and so on and so forth. All you're simply doing is you just go in, you press a button, and it does everything. And when it's completed, the upload of the solution, you then see maybe an email that comes through that says, deployment has been successful. And if there's any post-deployment tasks that need to be done, you then do those. In certain environments, you don't need to do any post-deployment tasks. And you then just, notify maybe people in that environment to say, your environment is ready to use. And then they can just go in and start working on it straight away. So the answer is yes, we can incorporate DevOps as well, in the grand scheme of things. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Mike says D365 is a platform. How does one access that platform? So what I'll do is I'll give, if you want a test environment that you can play around with between now and tomorrow, I can give you a link where you where you can download a trial version. And once you download a trial version, you can start playing around with that trial version right away. So let me see if I can. Get that now. And whilst I try and get that, anyone else with any other questions? I'll get the URL for downloading the trial instance. Do that now. I'm just going to put it in the chat so everyone can see it. And if you want, you can go onto that URL. And but I think what we are going to work on would be the custom service module. So once you go in there, please click where it says Dynamics 365 customer service. If you click on that tile, you can then sign yourself up and it gives you a 30-day trial that you can play around with. So that's the tile that we want. It says Microsoft, it says Dynamics 365 customer service. So you just click where it says try for free. You put in your details and then it gives you 30 days. Any other question from anyone else? Okay, if there's no other questions, let me look at the next module and see if we can do one or two things on there. If not, then we probably might just spend a bit of time on what it is that's needed, you know, for the functional consulting side of things. So what I might quickly talk about for now is things like certification, what's needed, you know, when you go to write your exams and so on and so forth. Just bear with me. Let me try and pull that folder. Okay. My apologies. The file that I'm trying to pull through, I think, seems to be a little bit corrupted. Might have to deal with taking screenshots. Okay. So in terms of this particular course, there's an exam at the end, which I would recommend everyone to go for, because this is what qualifies you to say, you know, what the course is all about. And, you know, it certifies you to say, you know, what's needed to be able to be successful in this particular role, or a role that you'll be going for. So the certification is called the PL 200, and there's various things that they test you on. So it's 6 distinct areas that they will test you on, which is configuring of the Microsoft database, and the weighting on it is 20 to 25%. And then you'll be weighted on, you'll be tested on creating apps using Power Apps, and that constitutes 15 to 20% of the exam. You also be tested on creating and managing Power Automate, which constitutes about 15 to 20% of the exam. The next thing that you'll be tested on is how to implement Power Virtual Agents, which are the chatbots. That's 10 to 15% of the exam. And also you've got how to integrate Power Apps with other apps or other services, which constitutes of 10 to 15% of the whole exam. And lastly, you'll be tested on managing solutions. So solutions basically, when you are creating anything in Microsoft Dynamics 365, you work through solutions. So the developers, they create a solution, they do their development in a solution. Once everything has been tested, that solution is then pushed on to the next environment. So best practice is everything is worked in a solution, and there are different types of solutions. You've got managed and unmanaged solutions, and the developers usually work in unmanaged solutions. When that solution is ready and they need to push it, that solution to the next environment, they push it through as a managed solution. But we'll talk about all those things, what solutions are there, what's contained in what solutions, what are the benefits of using what type of solution, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about that once we start getting into the nuts and bolts of that particular course. So yes, those are the things that you'll be tested on, and the exam, can't remember for the life in me. I think it's an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes. And there are various places where you can go and do the certification, and you can also do the exams remotely from your house. But there will be an invigilator on the other side, so you need a laptop with the camera or a computer with the camera, so they're continuously watching you as you do your exam. But yeah, I've done a couple of certifications, so it's fun and games. It's interesting, and I would urge everyone on this call to attempt this certification. Once you do the certification, then you know on the market you are a hot property. There is a huge demand for these sort of skills on the market right now.
Hi, Dan. And how often do you have to do this? Is it yearly certification? Because I know some of the Azure ones have yearly certification. Is this yearly certification as well?
I need to double check. I think now they are putting in expiry date on the certification, which is yearly. Before, they didn't used to put expiry dates on the certifications. But yeah, I think now they are putting expiry dates, which is yearly, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should be yearly. But the only difference is when you do it once, next time when you go for that certification and you are renewing your certification, you pretty much know most of the things. And they'll probably be testing, the tricky things will be, what are the new things that have been put into the product? And this is why I was saying you need to continuously keep an eye and an ear in the community, just to find out what are the new things that have come through, and so on and so forth. So there's conferences that you can join in. There's a lot of things or events in the community that happen, and most of them are for free, where you get insights into what is happening, in the market.
Yeah, thank you, man.
You're welcome. Anyone else with any other question? got limited time, so what I'm trying to avoid is to go through and then stop, midway. And then tomorrow, if I start midway, it's probably going to confuse a lot of people. Should we continue, or should you want us to just open a Q&A session, maybe for the next 20 minutes or so? Because the next module is going to be, it's a bit long. It's got about 25 slides. You propose we continue?
We should continue. We stop wherever we can.
Okay. If you're happy with that, we'll continue. So we move on to the next module. So what is Microsoft Power Platform? As I said earlier on, Microsoft Power Platform consists of Power Apps. These are your model-driven apps, your Canvas apps, your Portal apps. You've got Power Automate. This is what you use for automating things within the platform. And you've got virtual agents. These are your chatbots, which are AI empowered, and they can you can create bots that can respond to questions on your website and so on and so forth. And you've got Microsoft Power BI, which is your tool for querying data on the database. And ultimately, you've got Microsoft Database itself, which is where all the data is kept. So if I start from Power Apps, what they do is they provide a rapid low-code development environment for building custom apps for business needs. And Power Apps do have services, connectors, and they are quite scalable. They are a scalable data service. And hello?
I think someone is.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll continue. And they allow simple integration and interaction with existing data. So Power Apps enable, the creation of web or and mobile applications that run on all devices. So you can create a Power App that you can run, on your PC. You can actually run it on your tablet. You can run it on your mobile phone. So they are good in that sense, because you could run it, on all types of devices. And people use these, on a day-to-day basis. Everyone, I'm sure pretty much everyone nowadays is got a phone that uses apps of some sort. And that's pretty much the same principle that is used for Power Apps. Most of of the bulk solutions that come out do not meet exact business needs, or do they integrate well with other business programs. But with Power Apps, it eases users into app development with a simple interface. So you will see when we start on Power Apps that the interface itself is quite simple, easy to work with, and it's better for business users. as well as developers that work on those particular apps. And then coming on to Power Automate. So Power Automate, they let users create automated workflows. So it's a tool that you use to create automation within a system, or automation between applications and services. And it helps, with repetitive business processes, things like communication, or things like data collection, or decision approvals, things like that. You can build those into Power Automate, and that can be done automatically behind the scenes without, any human intervention. So which frees up, business users to go on and do whatever it is that they need to do, to carry out, their day-to-day job roles. And they help in making sure that, you don't waste important productive hours on drafting, things like emails, for weekly updates, or, walking through approvals. Not only are they for, individual users, they allow for the creation enterprise grade, process automation, or simple interface, or simple, interface, and they allow, for level of users or user to automate work tasks from beginners to seasoned developers. So pretty much anyone in an organization can create, a Power Automate with ease. And for complex tasks, yes, you can get developers to come in, and then they'll create, the complex automations using Power Automate. But pretty much anyone in an organization can work with Power Automate. And then coming on to Power BI. So Power BI is more of a business analytics service that delivers insights, for analyzing data. So an organization could be harvesting a lot of data, be it from its clients, or even, from its internal players. And once that data comes in, the whole reason organizations harvest data, I would say one of the key reasons is to make sure that you can analyze that data and make useful decisions using that data that will be at your disposal. So Power BI can share, those insights through data visualizations. So you can create things like dashboards, you can create reports that will give you, informed, that will give you information that would enable you as an organization to make informed decisions. And it scales across, an organization. And it has inbuilt a governance, which is one of the key things. A lot of organizations are moving on to Power BI. The mere fact that there is governance in there, a lot of things, there is a lot of things that happen, in the IT world, where data is stolen, or where data is misused, and organizations are charged huge sums of money. So to guard against that, Power BI has got an inbuilt governance, and security permutations, which allow businesses to focus more on the actual data itself than managing the data. So the tool or the platform manages the data for you. And it and it manages the governance and the security side of things as well. You can also consider Power BI as an analysis and insight leg of the Power Platform. So usually when you've got a lot of information sitting in Dynamics 365, say for argument's sake, management, they want to look at information, at a higher level, and their information needs to be aggregated. So you can build dashboards for them. And then you've got maybe middle management, which is more interested in looking at, insights and reports on on how things are being done at that particular time, or insights into day-to-day, performance. You can build reports for them through Power BI. So Power BI dashboards could potentially replace standing meeting to report out, on company metrics such as sales data, progress against goals, or employee performance. You can just build, a report, incorporate that report into a dashboard, and that can be seen, from one place by management, which makes life easy for everyone, and people do not have to do, at times, daily stand-ups and things like that. And then you've got Power Virtual Agents. These enable anyone to create powerful, chatbots using guided but no code graphic interface without the need for data scientists or developers. So pretty much anyone or novices can go ahead and create graphic interfaces that will provide, key insights, or that will provide powerful, chat functionality for an organization, and it minimizes IT effort required to deploy and maintain, a custom solution, by empowering subject matter experts to build or maintain, conversations or conversational solutions. So we've noticed lately that when you go onto certain websites, you go onto a website, in majority of the websites that we go on nowadays, they've got a little, chatbot that pops up when you get onto that onto that website. And some of those chatbots are built on Microsoft Power Virtual Agents. So you train that virtual agent and you input certain information. So you've got things like, frequently asked questions on some websites. So you could code and build those and into a chatbot. So when someone types, questions, it provides those answers up until a point where it cannot provide an answer, maybe for a complex question or query. What it then does, it then routes that query to a live person, and then someone can then actually start to converse with the user or interact with the person that's on the website. So these are part of the Power Platform. So there is already an existing integration layer which is already in place, and it's streamlined, with out of the box integration. And also its ecosystems of loads and loads of connectors. So you can connect it with so many things and I'll get to show you how you can use, various connectors to connect chatbots with D365. And users can also enable chatbots to action, to perform, you can perform actions, or you can action certain things simply by calling, Power Automate Flow. The beauty of Flow as well is that it helps users to call backend systems. So you might make a query on a website through a chatbot, but the answer that you want does not reside in D365 or in that particular website. What it can do, it can then link to backend systems, and it does, the query, and it brings forth the answer through, that interaction platform, which is the Power Virtual Agent. And you can also create flows within Power Virtual Agents that used for authoring the canvas. So there is quite a lot that is in there. Some of the features of these chatbots, you've got things like, AI builder. So this is artificial intelligence. I'm sure most of us have heard of artificial intelligence. Is there anyone who has worked on a project or worked on artificial intelligence? So with the AI builder, it lets users and developers add AI capabilities to the workflow and power apps and that they create and use. And it's a solution that allows, to easily add intelligence to your workflows. So as I was saying, instead of just answering, a question, it adds intelligence as well, where it can sort of like predict outcomes, and also helps to improve business performance without writing, any code. And then you've got the Dataverse, which is Microsoft Dataverse. This is the data service and our platform. So this is the actual platform itself, which lets users securely store and manage data from multiple sources. And it can integrate that data in business applications using a common data model to ensure ease and consistency of use, consistency to users. Sorry. I think that's it, at a high level. And the data verse itself, it provides, or enables components of the Power Platform to work together. So this is the base itself for everything that we'll be building. Everything will be built or will be sitting rather on top of the Dataverse. And it has foundations, or rather it enables the consolidation, display, and manipulation of data. And then talking about the connectors that I highlighted earlier on. Connectors essentially are used, to allow or to enable to connect apps, to connect data and devices within the cloud. You can consider, connectors to be bridges that allow information to go across, and it also sort of like commands travel, how that information moves around. In Microsoft, in the Power Platform, you've got more than 275 connectors for the Power Platform that enable, all your data, all your actions to connect, cohesively. And you've got various connectors, that connect it to a lot of applications. And I can give you examples. You can connect Dynamics 365 even to Salesforce. So there's connectors for that. You can connect Dynamics to Office 365. So you can connect that and you're getting, whatever it is that you want to bring in from Office 365 into Dynamics and vice versa. You can even connect Dynamics to Twitter. You can even connect Dynamics, to things like Dropbox, Google services, and so on and so forth. But I think we'll only do justice to that once we get to that part where we have to work on the actual connections themselves. So conscious of time, we've only got 5 minutes. I'm not going to keep on rambling because I'll not be able to do justice to this slide. Maybe let's turn the last 5 minutes into a Q&A. Is there anyone else out there with a question? Feel free to ask anything, related to even just Microsoft in general.
Hi.
Hi there.
Dynamics 365, I'm trying to kind of look at what's the difference between that and the Power Apps, and how are they related? I'm trying to put them together, but I really can't. What's the relationship between them? Is one involved in the other? Does one contain the other?
Yeah, I'll probably say it's more of one. It's not exactly one and the same thing, but they are more or less an offshoot of the database. So a Power App, you can build a Power App which could be, a Canvas app or, a model-driven app, but you're building it from the database.
Right. So Dynamics would have the database.
Database is actually the platform where Dynamics is built on.
Right. Okay. Right.
So D365, I'll probably say Dynamics 365. Maybe I can break it down and say it's more of, and I'm struggling to say it's a desktop because it's not really a desktop application.
Right.
Whereas the Power App is something that you can use on any device, and you can just build, a specific app, maybe for specific users that are doing a specific role. So say you could be working in an office and you've got a team that does sales and marketing. So you could build a specific app for the marketing team. Whereas D365 is like the whole a database platform, even though you can push it on and use it on mobile devices and you know, and tablets.
Right. So, sorry, so the exam, you know, the certification is purely on Power Apps, or Microsoft Dynamics 365 has its own exam separately, does it?
No, it's one and like I was saying, it's one and the same thing.
Right.
But Power Apps now we're just looking at building something specific for maybe specific use cases. Vis-a-vis Dynamics 365 is the whole component itself.
Right, because Power BI has its own exam, which is PL2, PL230, I think.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But if you decide to be a data analyst, that's when you need to write that Power BI exam. In this exam, there will be elements of Power BI, but it's only, I think, about 15 or 20% weighting of the whole exam, because they're only trying to test if you understand the basics of Power BI. They're not going to test you in-depth stuff relating to Power BI.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I've got a question, please.
Sure. Go ahead.
So the Power Apps, right? Are they like, do they build like the UI separately and probably the database, or would you say the Power Apps will be used for the UI and then the database would now be in the Dataverse?
Yeah, so the Dataverse is in a way the database itself.
Okay.
So the Power App
Mm-hmm.
is more like the UI that you are interacting with. And the Power App is pulling data from your database, which is in essence your database.
Okay, so that leads me to the next question, or the last question. So would these be embedded in, when you talk about the cloud, would you say it's in Azure cloud, or the Dynamics 365 in itself is a cloud application?
It is a cloud application, so it resides in the cloud.
Okay, so it's separate from, it's different from Azure cloud.
Yes, so you've got Azure, and I'll probably say Azure is in our case, I'll probably want to make it distinct and say Azure is different from Dynamics. In the sense that Azure, you are talking of where your Dynamics instance resides on top of.
Okay. So in that instance, you're saying Azure is like the data warehouse, and then this is like a container inside the data warehouse?
Exactly, yeah. So I'll probably say you've got Azure, which is you know, your container, and it contains, you know, all kinds of things. And within that container, you've got your D365, which is your database.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for
that. Both reside in the cloud.
Okay. Thank you.
But there is instances as well, just to make you aware, from back in the day that are still on-prem, but that are slowly getting replaced. But you could be lucky, if I put it that way, to work on a project where they are still using something which is still on-prem. But I don't see many organizations still working on solutions which are on-prem, because Microsoft is pushing everything from on-prem into the cloud. And I think the IT world in general, everything is going into the cloud.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, if I may add, because the project I'm working on at the moment is actually like on-prem, but we're trying to migrate everything into the cloud. And
Yeah.
so we're actually using the Power Apps and Azure and the combination of all of that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, there is still some organizations that are still working on on-prem, but yeah, as you rightly said, everything is moving to the cloud, and I think the future is the cloud.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else with any other question? If not, I'll say thank you to everyone for participating. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time, and we continue from where we left. So we'll continue from module 1 on the Power Platform. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dan, for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No,
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
all right. Thank you. Have a